Make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app, and you can listen for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Diamondbacks versus the Brewers Saturday, April 12th at Chase Field. We know it's Gino. The first 20,000 fans at the game on April 12th will receive the Eugenio Suarez bobble courtesy of Chase. You can get your tickets today at dbacks.com/SGT. We are looking for breadcrumbs, anything that can point us in the direction of what the Cardinals may want to do on draft night or what is possible for them to accomplish on draft night. And this morning, we looked at the growing list of top 30 visits that the Cardinals have had and will continue to have in the lead up to the NFL draft. And there is one very loud theme that has emerged from this list. Yes, they have a top 30 visit, or they had a top 30 visit with Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. Yes, they had a top 30 visit with Arizona State running back Cam Scadaboo. Yes, an offensive tackle from NC State, I think, was on the list as well. But there is one very loud theme that is staring all of us right in the face. Because we went through the list this morning. Producer Evan was just shouting names at me, and it was just defensive line, defensive line, defensive line, defensive line. It was all edge, all defensive linemen. It was a very clear message of, we are not done after signing Josh Sweat. We are not done after signing Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell. Our work has not been completed. We are still working to go out and get a young pass rusher, a young defensive lineman for the future. I mean, I think there were only 3. I don't know how many total names we read off this morning, but there were only 3 that were non-edge defensive line players. Everybody else was either an edge or a defensive lineman. And these top 30 visits are very important. You can glean a lot from them. Evan was telling me, I think it was yesterday, that the team that he roots for, the Philadelphia Eagles, defending Super Bowl champion, they always take at least one person under Howie Roseman that they had a top 30 visit with. And that is somewhat of a roadmap to tell you where they're looking. Now, you don't want to give too much away. You don't want to, invite like a sleeper on your list to let everybody know that you're paying attention to this kid, this prospect. But you do use the top 30 visits to get that final answer on some of these guys. And so we mentioned yesterday Walter Nolan was getting a top 30 visit. There is a very clear direction that the Cardinals are trying to accomplish with these top 30 visits.
Yeah, and I think you said it right. Like, there's a fine line of what you walk of, listen, the top-end guys we all want to meet with, they're at everybody's big board. They're going to be available at 16, or if they trade back to 22, which we've outlined a couple times. Those guys you're going to want to meet with, all of them for your first-round pick. But like you said, there's going to be guys that you like, that you have high on your big board, that you may not want to meet with because that's a prospect you value higher than some other ones. You don't want to clue other teams into that. And just to correct the number here, so we had 12 total visits, 8 of which play on the defensive line.
So 8 of the 12 visits have been of players that play on the defensive line. Now, does that mean the Cardinals are going to use number 16 on a pass rusher or a defensive lineman guaranteed, lock it in? No, it does not mean that. It means, though, that they understand that their work is not done in that regard. They understand, if you remember the story that we talked about in The Athletic last week of the executives talking about how Josh Sweat isn't, a superstar home run difference maker, and they can't just completely rely on him. These top 30 visits are kind of a subtle message of, we know that. We know that we need to do more. We know that there needs to be an investment there. And we have said over and over and over again that what free agency allowed the Cardinals to do by getting Sweat, by getting Campbell, by getting Tomlinson, it just allows them to pick their spot when they want to take an edge, when they want to take a defensive lineman. They don't have to force it at 16. Let's say they missed on Sweat. Let's say they missed on Sweat and they missed on Milton Williams. You may have to force an edge at 16. You may have to, I have to take the best edge available, even though a Wide receiver like a Matthew Golden could be available. I just can't do that. I need a playmaker. I need an edge. I need somebody to plug in right away. You don't have to do that. We have always said that by doing what they did in free agency and by being as aggressive as they were, it just freed up their options. And for a team that has only 6 picks this year, flexibility and options are the name of the game. And so these top 30 visits are telling you, they understand that they still need to focus on the defensive line. They understand they need to go out and get an edge rusher. Would not be surprised if we see some wide receivers get added to that list. Would not be surprised if you see more offensive linemen get added to that list. And I wonder by the time we get to the draft, a couple weeks from now, if we see those top 30 visits, if it actually, the next batch skews 8 of the next 12 are on the offensive side of the ball. And it feels somewhat more balanced. I don't know. You can kind of play some games with these top 30 visits, and the Cardinals may want to do that. They may want to just cover their bases, look at all these positions, but the early returns are they are making sure they have a good feel for this edge class. They have a good feel. And the other benefit of doing this, too, of loading up on one position, what they've done here in the first part, is it allows you to then on draft night go, there's a couple of guys on our board. We had top 30 visits with 3 of these guys. We like all 3 of these guys. They might be there when we pick in the second round. We don't have to force it here, because we've done our work, because we've done the homework, and we have multiple guys that we have scouted, multiple guys that we feel comfortable with. So you just give yourself options, and we're looking for anything. We are looking for any type of breadcrumb that can point us in the direction of what the Cardinals are going to do. And I will repeat what I said yesterday. I think trying to figure out what the Cardinals may do with the 16th overall pick is detective work that Sherlock Holmes couldn't solve. You don't have enough clues. I don't have enough evidence to put it all together. We're going to talk about Mel Kiper's most recent mock draft, and I will tell you, it goes in a completely different direction than the way these top 30 visits go. The first 2 picks do not match what the top 30 visits have said so far for the Arizona Cardinals. Nobody has a clue right now who is going to be available with the 16th overall pick. You just don't know. And because you don't know, your work has to be more diligent. This is a position they've never been in as an organization. They picked inside the top 5 the last 2 years. It's pretty easy. You kind of know the names that are going to be there at the top. You don't know. You may love a guy and he goes 9 to the Saints or he goes 10 to the Bears. And you thought the entire time he was going to get to you at 16, and now one team messed it all up for you. You just don't know. So the breadcrumbs are telling us the Cardinals are still going to do their work on the front 7. They are still going to do their work on the defensive end and the pass rush. And to that, I say good. To that, I say much needed. Their work was not done after they spent the way that they did in free agency. That was just the beginning of their work. And we said that because of that work, they could probably get everything they wanted accomplished in this draft. Wide receiver, offensive lineman, another edge, another defensive lineman, and a corner. They could still do all of that. Now look at that list, because there's a decent chance that the Cardinals at one point may take one of those guys on that list, and a future Cardinal could be on that list.
Yeah, and I want to say some of the shocking things about this list, like, can't believe they haven't met with a single receiver yet.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And I know we're not even halfway through the 30 visits, right? You're only at 12, but can't believe they haven't met with a receiver yet. Only the one offensive tackle was a little bit shocking, but I think you're right. I think if you're looking at this list as a Cardinals fan, it's something you're excited about, because to me, this means they understand their hole. And they didn't think one player was the answer. We knew what we can't do last year. How are we going to fix it? And they're going to do it not only in free agency, but they're going to do it in the draft too. And reading this list, the thing I outlined a few days ago about them doubling up and trying to hit on both or hit on one of those guys and doubling your chances, to me, this feels like a more possibility as you read a list like this.
Yeah, when you see where they're going, and let's see, like I said, the next 12 names, 8 of them could be receivers and offensive players, and now all of a sudden it's balanced again, right? You just don't know. We'll see, and we'll be able to glean more as we see more names get added to this list. And let's just make something very clear. Just because they didn't bring somebody in on a top 30 visit, let's just, for example, say there was no receiver on the list, right, Producer Evan? No receivers at all so far? None?
0 receivers.
Let's say they don't have a top 30 visit with Matthew Golden. I don't think that means on draft night they wouldn't take Matthew Golden, right? Just because a player appears on the top 30 list doesn't mean that he is a huge major target for the Cardinals. And just because somebody isn't on the top 30 list, the assumption that you can make from that is not, oh, the Cardinals don't like that guy. Do not read into that. That would be taking it a bridge too far. But we'll see how these top 30 visits play out the rest of the way.